This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the Foster. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, hi, my name is Peter. Yeah, I want. Here's good.
Yeah.
Madam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
That's right, it's showtime Wednesday, beginning of June 7th, summer. Hope everybody's doing well. How the hell is everybody? It's good to be alive, as always. I hope you're feeling the same way, too. Going to be a great show tonight. Another one of those packed with info shows. Speaking of life, tonight I'm going to have chiropractic neurologist and functional medicine doctor Michael Johnson on this show right here. And boy, do I have a lot of questions for him. That's coming up in a few minutes. So get your popcorn, get your drink, get comfortable. You're going to want to sit down and get a pad and pencil, or you can just keep rewatching the show and get all your info down. But it's going to be a great show tonight. Promise. Next week, before I forget, because last week I was all over the map and I forgot until later on. But as always, next week, I want to remind you, or letting you know, next week, June 14th, I'm going to have we're talk about something really different. And this is going to be really different. Paranormal investigator Brandon Collins is going to be on the show, and from Spooky Adventures 3, he goes around to cemeteries and tries to talk to spirits and into haunted places and things like that. And it's kind of weird how we met. I'm going to tell you about it on the show next week, but we met in a strange kind of way, and then we became friends. And I don't know, I'm kind of interested in all this stuff because I just don't believe when you die you become worm food. I that's me. But call me crazy. I do believe that there's a soul that, energy that lives on, but everybody's got their own opinions. No doubt about that. And, it is what it is, but you decide. But anyway, we're going to have a little fun, and we're going to talk to him next week, Wednesday, June 14th. Paranormal investigator Brandon Collins is going to be on this show from Spooky Adventures 3. That's his what he calls himself, and I just think it's kind of interesting. But anyway, speaking of speaking of interesting, so apparently I created people started getting pissed off at me last week, but if it sparks your interest, I mean that's how it works. But I don't do it on purpose. I'm just doing things. But these past couple of days, I started a little fire on Facebook for some reason, and people, again, we're all divided. Last week was a show I took on myself. I started talking about this and that, current events, the world we live in, and people start, I'm an idiot. Whoever doesn't agree with the guy who's calling me an idiot's an idiot. And can't we all just get along? It's going to take some work. But last week I ruffled a few feathers. So I'm sorry, but I will do it again, because at least you're watching. And again, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just bringing things out to your attention. And whether you want to, take what I say and throw it out the window, that's up to you. But I'm bringing, there's a lot of people that actually think that there's some sense to some of the stuff I say. Not all. And it's all good. You can't please everybody. That's a fact. But I do care. And even the ones that hate me or, think I'm an idiot or call me names. And again, right away, the minute they don't like what, when you're saying things they agree with, we're best buddies. The minute you say something that nobody agrees with, you're an asshole. And I still have no no hate or anything like that for anybody. Lots of people are misinformed. Maybe I'm misinformed, but nobody seems to bring anything to the table of worth to call in and to help inform me, except for the ones who really believe in things that they want to talk about. And I'm one of them. Anyway, sorry, but that was just so the fight is still going on. It was going on through this afternoon. People are arguing about fentanyl deaths and who's responsible for them and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of good. At least they're interacting. So that's kind of nice to see everybody playing together. But yeah. So anyway, look, coming up in 2 minutes, I'm going to bring Dr. Michael Johnson on. But first, before I bring him on, as always, I need to remind you, my YouTube got killed and we're rebuilding it. And I'm asking all of you to please, and you might be watching from Facebooks or LinkedIn's or some of the other platforms, BitChutes and all these other places, but please go to the Peter G Show YouTube channel and just hit the subscribe button, because the algorithms that they have put in front of me for my channel you can't reach people if they don't let you be seen. So unfortunately, until I hit a certain number to where they start releasing and start letting me breathe again, I need you to go there and just hit the subscribe button. It's free, people. It's absolutely free. Help me out on that one, because it's rebuilding. They are really making it tough, but I'm not giving up, because YouTube is still a predominant channel for a lot of people, and I want to be part of it. I mean, I don't do things wrong, but every once in a while you say something that they don't agree with, and so they don't argue it with. You can't talk to them. They just shut you down. Part of our new culture. We're going to fix all that, though, in the coming years, I hope. So go hit subscribe. And for those of you who don't have time to watch the Peter G Show but you can always put an earbud in your ear, Google Peter G Show podcast, and find one of the 26 different platforms that we're on the audio plot podcast. You can look while I'm driving. I can listen to 300 shows out there. Look, see, and I'm listening, happy. Or while you're out exercising, walking, I do that a lot. I'm out walking, I'm listening to the shows because I want to see what's coming out of my mouth from a different perspective. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good, but it's all, with good intentions. But anyway, go to Google Peter G Show podcast and just pick one of the podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, you name it, we're on it. So that's it. Last but not least, we're going to be back with Dr. Michael Johnson in 2 minutes after we get a word from my friends over at Clean Star Products with their DX1 driver fuel additive. Be right back.
Let us help you with the high price of fuel. Hello, I'm Ty Thompson at CleanStarProducts.com. We can optimize your engine, saving you money and gas. Here's how. Our program works the same with gasoline and diesel engines. Whether you're using a car pack or SUV pack, the instructions are the same. Add 1 bottle to your engine oil, and each time you change your oil, add 1 bottle to the fuel tank each and every fuel fill-up. It's that easy. You get 10% fuel economy on average, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. DX1 sells for $2 an ounce, so for just a few dollars a fuel tank, you can optimize your engine, saving you money and gas. Come on, give it a try. It's the finest green grade oil in the world from a California environmental company. You're going to feel it when you drive. Order online today. We'll get it out right away. CleanStarProducts.com/shop.
That's right, CleanStarProducts.com. All I can say is it works. This little bitty bottle, add it into a clean oil change. It lasts the whole oil change, and then every time you fill up your tank, you put it in your fuel. You'll not only save up to 10% in fuel economy, you'll get lower emissions, less friction, taking care of your engine, smoother lubricity. Take care of your body, and your body will take care of you. Same thing goes for your car. Let's face it, people, gas is expensive. Cars are super expensive. Take care of yourself and your car. Go to Clean Star Products. They'll talk to you. If you want more information, just go to www.cleanstarproducts and ask them whatever you want to ask them. Tell them the Peter G Show sent you. That way they know I'm doing something. But again, it makes sense to save money. And now the moment you've been waiting for. Right here on this show. It's taken me a while to get him on the show. We kind of crossed paths sometime last year. And then life gets busy and we got disassociated again, and then all of a sudden things kind of come around again. And I truly believe, as I'm getting older, that everything happens for a reason. So, Dr. Johnson, if you're ready, just shake your head for me. go. There we go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Wisconsin's own Dr. Michael Johnson. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing good. It's been a scramble as always. Every day it's like I have plenty of time, and then we get down to the show time, and it's down to the wire, and we go into oh shit mode. But we're here, so I want to thank you for taking the time because I know that you're an early riser and you're staying up late for me. So thank you.
Well, it's not that late, but yeah.
Well,
I get up early.
I'm getting
up early. I don't get stuff done, so that's a must. That's when I get it done.
I get it, but to me, I got a feeling that you're the kind of guy who doesn't sleep a lot. Is that true?
I know. I get a good 7, 8 hours of sleep a night. I think sleep is important. I think sleep is more important for women than men because of hormones. So we'll just start that right there. But yeah, I get a good amount of sleep, so it works.
All right. Because for some reason, it just seems like, man, you're go, go, go. I watch a lot of your stuff, and you're busy. Plus, you run a practice.
Right. Yeah. We have a practice, a very busy practice. A lot of it is online with telemedicine. That happened because of COVID. And then we also have, a medical distribution company. I consult with doctors. I have a message board for doctors. We're just starting a new program for doctors. We've got a lot going on, a lot of irons in the fire.
Oh, a lot to be thankful for. Well, let's do this. Let's back it up a bit. Why don't you take a minute, start kind of a little bit from the beginning, and why don't you just introduce yourself more thoroughly than I did and tell everybody who you are, what you've been doing, and I know how long you've been doing it, and then we'll go from there because I got a lot of questions for you.
Yeah, certainly. So I started in practice in 1983. I graduated from Palmer College of Chiropractic in March of '83. Started practice right away in Davenport, Iowa. Then my wife and I moved to Appleton, Wisconsin. I've been here ever since. Opened my practice in Appleton September 1st, 1983. Immediately, along with chiropractic, got into functional medicine. Back then, we didn't call it functional medicine. Nobody knew what functional medicine was. It's called nutritional therapy. So nutritional therapy eventually crossed over, transition to functional medicine. Now everybody and their uncle is a functional medicine doc. Unfortunately, some doctors take a weekend course and call themselves a functional medicine doc. That's not really what it's all about. Functional medicine isn't doing a bunch of labs and then giving the patient a bunch of supplements. Functional medicine really is trying to discover what's causing the problem with autoimmune conditions, neurological conditions, chronic pain syndromes, cancer. And I don't treat or cure cancer. We just support the body to allow for maximum healing. So I've been in practice ever since. In 2006, we started consulting with doctors. I had doctors come to me and say, look, what you're doing works. It's helping people. We're hearing about you. Teach us how to do it. So we have a message board. If you go to txfibro.com, that's our private message board for doctors. And then I started a medical distribution company in 2019. So I don't have enough things going on, so I just keep adding other things. But the bottom line is, I'm always focused on patient care, getting patients better. How can we get patients better faster? And especially those patients who've been everywhere, done everything. They've been to 10, 15 different doctors, and they don't know where to turn. Those are the type of people that we help.
Gotcha. I mean, look, the system is kind of messed up. I've met doctors that don't want to be doctors anymore because of it doesn't, like, it's too much of a hassle to be a doctor.
Well, it's corporate medicine. That's what it's moved to, Peter. It really has, and it's unfortunate. And medicine itself, allopathic medicine, does a great job with acute care, heart attack, broken bones, strokes. If I'm in a car accident, I need to go to the emergency room. But when it comes to chronic conditions, as I mentioned, autoimmune conditions, neurological, chronic pain, they pretty much drop the ball. And that's where we kind of fit in that area of expertise to help the patient who's really had a problem for a long time.
I get it. And we're going to get into this because I don't want to knock. I know there's a lot of good doctors out there, but it's changed. Yep. And they're under the gun, like watching the clock. They got so many minutes with you.
That's exactly it. Yes.
And somebody told it to me like this too, and I'm getting to believe it. And I don't blame the doctors; they're just falling into this pit. But they're saying most doctors nowadays are just becoming pharmacologists. Like the pharmaceutical reps come in, they tell them what all this does, and they just believe them and just start doing it instead of using their practice but their knowledge. Like you have 40 years of seeing what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, and that is so true, because I have drug reps who were patients of mine and are patients of mine, and they tell me the same thing. And that's really what it's boiling down to. It's a time factor. And so it's corporate-based medicine. It's business medicine. It's a business model. You have to fit into that business model. You have so much time. And a lot of patients will tell me, I try to ask my physician or my allopathic medical doctor a question, and he has his hand or her hand on the doorknob, and they can't wait to get out the door. And I feel pressured, and I'm not getting my questions answered. So just like you, Peter, I was on YouTube, had a very successful channel. In 2019, we were doing stem cell therapy. It really helped me. It helped a lot of our patients. And YouTube shut down my channel, and it all went away. And as you know, when it goes away, they don't tell you why. They don't tell you how, where, nothing. It's just gone. So I swore that I'd never get back on social media. And just one of those never say never. A patient of mine last winter said, you have a lot of information to share. You should get on TikTok. I said, I don't even know what TikTok is, but I'll look at it. I thought it was Snapchat at first, but it's different. And so now I'm on TikTok. I've been on there 6 months, and I must be resonating with people, because we have 370,000 followers today, and it's growing, and people are looking for answers. And that's how I believe you and I connected. So
I like what you have to say. I mean, to me, I could be wrong, but you just seem like a no bullshit kind of guy.
Yeah. And you seem the same way. People don't want the fluff. It's just tell me what works and let's go from there. And that's really what it is. What you see is what you get. And not everybody, like you said, is going to like that. But at least you're speaking from your heart, and you're telling your truth and the truth as you see it. So, yeah, and people resonate with that. They're especially, I think, after what's happened with the pandemic, because as you know, and this has got me in trouble a little bit, so I'll be careful dancing around it. But what was said, and if it didn't fit the agenda, that wasn't in the news media. So 24 million people contract COVID and recover before the vaccine, but you never heard that in the major news sources. You didn't hear that anywhere. But it didn't fit their agenda, and if it didn't fit their agenda, they weren't speaking to it. So
that's one of the main causes that got me banned. Talking about that, I had a great doctor, Dr. Brian Artist, and he was a big focal point on going around and investigating this stuff, and they didn't like it. And I'm going to have him back on, but now I just know I just will not. I'll turn the YouTube channel off when we're doing this show, unfortunately, but it cost me dearly. And now rebuilding is a bitch. They're really not letting me be seen very much.
No, you're exactly right. And that's why I walked away from YouTube. Now I have a secondary YouTube channel, but it's nothing like it was previously. I was bigger than I was on TikTok on YouTube. Right. But you're right. Trying to rebuild that, it's like rolling a boulder uphill. And it really is. So
I didn't want to rebrand and change the name and all that. And my daughter's like, just change your name. It's like, no, I'm not going to bow to them. I've worked too hard for this. But so going with the whole thing, and then I got so many questions for you. This is ridiculous. But doctors, we're talking about trust. And when that was all going on, and I was not an advocate for getting that. And a very close friend of mine, he says, well, I did. And I go, okay. I said, but I just not me. He goes, well, don't you trust your doctor? And I said, nowadays, I question everything, I said, just because he may have good intentions, but he's gotten lazy too and doing what he's gotten told. And they're saying, well, why wouldn't you trust us? Right. So trust is really a weird thing.
Right. And
what do you do? I mean, you go to these, you're praying that you got somebody that will look out for your best interest, but it's a weird line now.
Well, another thing you're not hearing on the media, Peter, is that a lot of people who get I call it the hokey pokey, because you got to speak in tongues.
Yes.
And so a lot of people who get the jab, now they're finding they have severe autoimmune conditions. Kids are developing type 1 diabetes. adults are developing rheumatoid arthritis, and I mean severe rheumatoid arthritis. And I spoke to it today because I had a patient tell me her dad had it, and he's just been a train wreck ever since getting it. And so you're not hearing that in major media circles, major media outlets, and I don't think you will. But yet somebody has to speak to it because it is happening and people are suffering. So
you get the people who are pro hokey pokey. I'll go with your word. I kind of like that because really now it really is. What if the hokey pokey really wasn't what it was all about?
Nope. Yeah, exactly. And now they're discovering it. And again, I had to speak in codes.
I know.
Because otherwise, like you said, you're banned. You're gone. Yeah. You're out. It's the worst form of censorship, not knowing what you can and cannot say. But for the name of the vaccine, I had to use names like Michael, Richard, Nicholas, Anthony. And just some people get it, some people don't. But that's a whole different animal. An mRNA vaccine is a whole different animal than what they've ever done previously. And now you're seeing the effects of it. And I think eventually it's going to have to be spoken to, and it will have to be addressed because so many people are suffering.
I think the next 20 years, a lot of people are going to be checking out from things that just pop up that look like have nothing to do with anything, but but yet I think that it's going to be. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm an idiot, as I was told the past 3 days on Facebook. I should get off and stop broadcasting my garbage. Okay. But anyway, we're going to move. We're going to get away from that just so I don't slip into deep.
We should. Yeah.
Because I got you on YouTube for tonight, and it'll live on YouTube, and I want it to. But the thing is, it seems to me that not only are you, a doctor and you're doing all this stuff and looking into natural medicine. I mean, and you got like 7 or 8 books, right?
Yeah. So I wrote a couple of regular paperback hardcover books, and then I transitioned over to ebooks, and then through the years you learn things. So I have to go back and rework them, and basically when I wrote those books, I was not into looking at stored iron as much as I am now. So stored iron it's your ferritin, and we'll just speak to this real briefly, but your ferritin is stored iron. It's not circulating iron. So you could have high stored iron and you could be anemic, have low circulating or serum iron. Well, high stored iron can cause pain, can cause numbness, it can cause fatigue, it can cause joint stiffness, it can cause heart conditions, it can cause liver conditions, it can cause a host of things, kidney ailments, and yet nobody really looks at it, and nobody really addresses it, and nobody knows what to do with it. And so I have all these people coming to me, and one of the big things is inflammation. So high ferritin causes inflammation, and ferritin normally should be 20 to 50, not 200 or 150. So ferritin, fibrinogen, C-reactive protein, homocysteine, you've got to look at all these inflammation markers because inflammation plays a big part in illness and disease. And nobody's really speaking to that again. And so that's where I would need to add that into my book. So I've kind of pulled my books back when I find the time, reissuing them with all the new information that I've learned, because I wrote those books about 8 years ago. So, they're dated as far as I'm concerned in what I've learned since, and I'm constantly learning.
I get it. I mean, inflammation really is, I'm loaded with inflammation, and it's sad, and I'm trying to, and the only time, and it's amazing because I had to have a foot surgery a couple of years ago because I had a bone in my arthritic toe. And so they gave me for, what was it? Holy moly, I know I got it for you. Indocin, a pill called Indocin. And I swear, if I take one of those, it makes me a little queasy, so I'll take it at night before I go to bed, but I can go jogging the next day.
Right.
Because it reduces the inflammation. But you can't live on that stuff. I don't like it.
No, it's
you know what I mean?
Your liver. It really is. And so your liver detoxifies medications. So there's phase 1 and phase 2 liver detox. And so you do have to be careful. I don't have a problem with short-term medications. I don't have a problem with medications for a year, even 2, but get to the cause of what's the issue is, get it corrected so you don't have to take the medication. The problem is a lot of physicians want patients on maintenance medications. Like, okay, your blood pressure was high, you were taking blood pressure meds, but you lost a bunch of weight, and you're eating better, and you're exercising, so you don't need the blood pressure meds, but you should still stay on them as a maintenance dose. And I just totally disagree with that. And people say, who are you to speak to it? I've been in practice 4 years. I've seen what it does to people. And people bust on me because I wear scrubs. I wear scrubs because it's like wearing pajamas. And I show up at my office in the summer with shorts and a golf shirt and flip-flops. Patients don't want to see that. I don't want to see that as if I'm seeing a doctor. So that's why I throw scrubs on, not to play medical doctor, but to just be comfortable in my own skin, in my own office, and help patients.
I don't see where that would make a difference. I mean, wearing scrubs, I thought is kind of, I recently went through it. Ears, nose, and
how many people bust. Well, dealing with the public, you always get the people. There are some people, Peter, you know this. They're so miserable, they want to make everybody else's life miserable, and those are the people that really give you the pushback. It's not the majority; it's the small minority, and you just have to tune them out.
Especially if you're some people are in pain, and it just they're just tired of being in pain. And I had an old man that I used to take care of, and he was always in pain. I mean, he was fused from the neck on down to his butt, and he was a mess, unfortunately. And it just kind of vibrated to where he just got tired of being in pain, that he became miserable. I mean, it was just hard on him. But you were just talking about cholesterol, statins and things like that. Yeah. I've been hearing a lot of things now that statins, like, get off of them. There's been a lot of
beautiful lead. And so that comes back to ferritin. So high ferritin causes low magnesium, and low magnesium will cause your liver to produce an enzyme, HMG coenzyme A, which just causes your liver to produce massive amounts of cholesterol. 85% of your cholesterol is made in your liver. The other 15% comes from your diet. So cholesterol doesn't come from your diet. That's where this low-fat fad really took a dive off the cliff, and people started to realize, look, I can eat eggs, I can eat grass-fed beef, I can eat free-range chicken, I can eat high-fat foods like avocado and olive oil and coconut oil, good fats, healthy fats, and it will actually lower my cholesterol and lower my weight. So what I tell patients is get your ferritin checked. Okay, if it's high, there's something called IP6. It's a inositol. It's a variation of a B vitamin, and that will lower your ferritin. I don't recommend going out and giving blood, because that doesn't do anything to help your liver. IP6 will help your liver. So if you lower your ferritin, you're going to lower your cholesterol. You won't need the statins. The problem I have with statins is you need cholesterol. You need cholesterol to make hormones. You need cholesterol for your nerves. You need cholesterol for your brain. And medical doctors will say, well, the brain cholesterol is different than the body cholesterol. No, it's not really that much. And I've shown all the research on my TikTok videos. But your cholesterol should be about 200 to 220. Most cardiologists want it down around 100. So then you have all of these people my age in their 50s and 60s who are now having very low testosterone in men, low estrogen, obviously, with women, and they're on hormone replacement therapy. And then on hormone replacement therapy, there's something called a Dutch test. It's a urine test for hormones, and it shows the pathways. Well, if your pathways aren't working, you could end up with prostate cancer in the male, breast cancer in the female. So it's all of these factors that they're not really looking at. It's just too easy to throw medications at people like a statin, not do any research into what's causing the high cholesterol in the first place. And that's my beef with it. It's just too easy to throw pills at it. And statins are a billion-dollar industry, billions. So,
but do you think that, not every doctor thinks the same way, because it is a practice based on experience. What would you say the percentage of doctors know where to go looking?
Not a lot, especially medical doctors.
Nowadays, they're getting lazy.
Pill. It's the medication. There's a pill for every ill, and if there isn't a pill for the ill, they don't want to believe it exists. A perfect example is Hashimoto's thyroiditis. They don't even check for it. They don't even test for it. They don't have a pill for it, so they don't address it. They ignore it. When I was first in practice, there was no statin medication. Statins came about in 1987. I did a whole history on cholesterol, a video series on my TikTok channel. And what happened was, once it started to really find its place that they have this medication for cholesterol. When I first started in practice, 300 or lower was fine. And now, like I said, they want it down around 100. It's because they literally want everyone on statins. I've had cardiologists tell me they want statins in the water like fluoride, which I think is ridiculous. It's absurd, and they're serious. They're pushing for that, and it's just craziness. And yeah, so I get up on TikTok and I get on my soapbox and I start giving the weather report.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, because I've had to literally go to, and I like my doctor. I do. I think he's a good guy. I know he's under pressure. I really do. I can just, I just know it. And I have some understanding, but it's my body. And
Right.
I know me better than the 15 minutes he gets to see me every, and I've been going this past couple of years now. It's been like an overhaul. I had all these little weird things, nothing serious, but I just wanted to go and address a few issues. And I've been told I have a enlarged liver. We went through all kinds of tests. Nothing shows up, but I just, if I have I've had it since I was a kid. I just feel it, it's a little bigger. Yeah. But now they're telling me the past 2 blood tests, my cholesterol's been high. And I'm not doing anything different, and I went to a dietitian and she says, well, you want statin? You should get on statin. I go, no, I don't want pills. She goes, well, then try more fiber. And so I'm trying more fiber. What's the real deal? I mean, to naturally just kind of bring it down.
Well, that's where I think ferritin comes in, as I mentioned, in the HMG coenzyme A. So then how high is high? So like I said, they consider like 240 high. I think 240, a cholesterol level of 240 is fine.
That's the bad cholesterol, right?
No, well, that's the thing. LDL and HDL are lipoproteins. It's not cholesterol. So high LDL and high HDL, that's not really true cholesterol. Those are lipoproteins. And you need LDL. They say good and bad cholesterol. The good cholesterol is HDL, the bad cholesterol is LDL. Well, there is no such thing. It's high density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein. And you can manage that, again, through ferritin and making sure your liver is functioning properly. Coming back to your liver, you can have perfectly normal liver enzymes, ALT, AST, GGT, perfectly normal, but you could still be in stage 4 liver disease with fibrosis and fatty liver. And the number one thing that causes fatty liver is high amounts of refined sugar, high carbohydrates. So I've had people just get on a ketogenic diet and it clears up their fatty liver. Now, some of them may need some supplements. I'm not big on supplements. I see too many functional medicine doctors seeing patients, running labs, and they come to my clinic and they have a suitcase full of supplements. You don't need to be on 20 or 30 different supplements. That's insane. You just need a few to hit the high spots, what I call it, the problem areas, and then the rest should take care of itself. So coming back to liver, coming back to any condition, it all starts with diet. It really does.
I've been told that as you get older, most people will develop what's called fatty liver. I mean, is that kind of true, or?
Well, it is, just because of the standard American diet. So most people eat very high, high sugar, high refined carbs. They eat a lot of junk food. I mean, I've had patients see me, they're drinking a 12-pack of Diet Mountain Dew a day. And I've seen this when I go to the grocery store. People have like cases of diet soda or diet.
It was cheaper than water.
Well, that's true. I mean, and that's the pushback I get. It's cheaper to eat junky than it is to eat really healthy, and that is very true. And that, how do you fight that? Well, I tell them, look, you can buy organic vegetables, and they don't cost that much as your $6 bag of chips. So there's got to be a little bit of a trade-off.
It's hard. I think being healthy, period, or trying to be healthier is very expensive. Anything you want to buy that's healthy labeled costs a lot of money. This is going to, again, Jesus, I want to go on to all these things, but vitamins, I got to have you back. I wish I have you next to me when I go see my doctor. So it's like having your lawyer next to you. It's like, what's he talking about?
People on TikTok tell me the same thing. It's like, where can I find a doctor like you? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But, again,
because they're all different. But vitamins, I try to take some, but I do realize that you can take, and I've heard you say it too, that you can hurt yourself by taking too many of these things, right? So I mean,
you got to really be careful for. Everybody talks about milk thistle coming back to your liver. If you take too much milk thistle, you can cause anemia. So nobody's speaking to that fact, and yet, tons of people out there, well, I have a bad liver, I'll take milk thistle. So there'll be people chiming into my comments on my TikTok that are actually making harmful statements if people followed it. So I try to limit that a little bit, but yes, you can hurt yourself with an herb, with a vitamin, if you don't know what you're doing. So you have to be careful. It's just like a medication. And the problem I have too is some medical doctors who become functional medicine doctors, they replace the medications with supplements, and that isn't necessarily needed in most cases either. So it really depends on your labs. You want complete labs. And the key to really what we find in healing tough cases is you got to clear out toxins and infections that are underlying in the patient. And then you got to support their mitochondria. The mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell, and that will help reduce the inflammation. So that's really what makes us and sets us apart from anybody else out there.
I mean, look, vitamins. Okay. I know that there's certain things you need. When I go, he sends me for a blood test. Just because I'm getting a blood test doesn't mean that they're looking at everything. That I didn't realize either. They're only looking for a couple of things. So my vitamin D was low. So I take, 2 chewables every day for vitamin D. But basically, what does the body have to have? I know you kind of need magnesium and zinc and things like that.
Magnesium is a really huge player. There's 5,000 interactions and chemical enzymatic interactions that magnesium works within the body. So I always have said, 40 years ago, I was saying you need air, you need water, you need magnesium. Magnesium's like the top 3. And so I'm big on magnesium. I take it myself. I'm big on melatonin, high dose melatonin. So there's something in your body called VDAC, voltage determined anion channels. And it's like the Goldilocks of your body. It should be in the medium range. And if it gets too high, you have too much VDAC, you're going to get a neurological condition, MS or Parkinson or stroke. And if it gets too low, you're going to end up with cancer. So melatonin helps modulate, especially high dose melatonin, modulates that VDAC level. And I think that's really important. So, magnesium, melatonin, I take those 2 religiously. I take support for my liver because my liver isn't the best. That's a case for me. And I learned the hard way, Peter. I was so focused on working and treating patients, I didn't take care of myself. And I didn't eat the best. And I had a health crisis. And as a result, I changed my lifestyle. I work out with a trainer 3 times a week. I exercise daily. I eat clean, perfect diet all the way. But those magnesium, melatonin, I take something called alloferox. It helps your liver. It helps remove parasites. I like that. And then resveratrol and NAD, I like to support the mitochondria. So those are like my handful of supplements. And then I take a digestive enzyme. I think everybody over the age of 20 should take a digestive enzyme to help you absorb fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. So that's my model of health. And all the other ones, again, they're supplements, they're not replacements. So you can't eat a junky diet and think you're going to take supplements and be healthy. That's just nonsense.
I just find, like I said, if you talk to 10 different doctors, I think I'm going to get at least 8 different, prescriptions of vitamin, you need your zinc, you need your citrus, magnesium, magnesium citrate, magnesium. And it's very complicated, so I don't know what a good round, like for somebody older, just a good round. Well, this is what you really need in your core, and then go from there.
Yeah, well, I think magnesium glycinate, because it's easily absorbed, and magnesium threonate, it crosses your blood-brain barrier. So those 2 forms of magnesium are really important. High-dose melatonin, the melatonin I take, it's 140 milligrams, like for a half dropper. I take anywhere from 2 to 4 droppers every other day. So those are the 2 big ones. And then resveratrol and NAD or NADH, I think those are really important.
See, those last 3 are like, I've never really heard of them.
Yeah, well, resveratrol, there's tons of research on it. What you want to do, you're only as healthy as your mitochondria. Your mitochondria, Peter, are the powerhouses in your cell. And so they're like the batteries of your cell. And NAD and resveratrol help recharge those batteries. So that's really what it comes down to. And
Wow.
if you don't have mitochondria, you're basically not going to be around. And a lot of the latest cancer research is on mitochondria. And that's what I bring about. So I'm always on pubmed.gov looking at research, especially in regards to mitochondria, because it's so important to your health. So if you can clear those underlying toxins and infections and then support your mitochondria, you're going to be super healthy the rest of your life. I mean, I plan on living another 30 years. I'm 64. I'm and when I go, I'd like to go in my sleep. That would be ideal. I don't think we get to choose, just like you had mentioned opening the show. I think there is an afterlife, and hopefully I'll transition.
Give me the definition for everybody of mitochondria.
The simple aspect of mitochondria are just it's a battery. It's like a battery inside the cell. It's energy. It's the Energizer bunny inside your cells, and every cell has mitochondria in it. Your heart and your brain cells have 5,000 mitochondria per cell. And think about there's a trillion cells in your body, and they're constantly changing. You get a whole new body every year. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Then why do I have the same problem year after year after year? It's because of that blueprint, and you've got to change that blueprint. And the mitochondria do that.
Wow. Like I said, worth watching more of your videos on TikTok, I think. But we'll get into that. I mean,
it's worked out. It's worked out well. Yeah.
Well, no, it has. Again, that's why you're here. I found you interesting and a plethora of information, and anybody can choose whether to believe what you say or not to believe what you say.
Yeah. And I've just spoken to this too the last few videos. It's like, as long as you be respectful. I mean, I don't agree with everybody out there. I'm sure a lot of people don't agree with me, but we can respect one another. My physician, my internist, her and I are on opposite poles of the health spectrum, but we respect one another and we can work together. And I think that's all anybody's looking for, is just mutual respect.
No, I get it. But, and especially, doctors against doctors, that's kind of the worst patients.
Yeah.
And speaking of patients, you've had some health issues, and you talk about that. You've had health issues. You've had to have your gallbladder removed, correct?
Yeah, so this is what happened. My wife and I were just laughing about it the other day at lunch. This is January of 2022. I was driving to work, and I was just a couple miles from my home, and I started having severe chest pain. I thought I was having a heart attack. I wheeled it back home. By the time I got home, it was like an elephant was on my chest, severe pain. I swore I'm having a heart attack. I tell my wife, call 911. And my wife is like, she's not big into medicine. She goes like, do you really need an ambulance? Can you just ride it out? Can you just drink some water? I mean, she doesn't want to call the ambulance. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Kill me off? And so they come and they check me, and it's not my heart, it's my gallbladder. Well, that's because I wasn't taking care of myself. So I had emergency gallbladder surgery, but I also had pneumonia, severe Klebsiella pneumonia, antibiotic resistant. I couldn't breathe, so they gave me Lasix, but they gave me enough Lasix, a diuretic, to kill a horse. And it caused kidney failure, liver failure, and heart failure. Now,
too much too fast.
That was in January of 2022. And I'll tell you, it was crazy. A year ago, I had like 8 gallons of fluid on my abdomen. So it was so bad that I could barely function. And then finally last September, they removed the fluid off my abdomen, 32 liters. And 32 liters really works out to be, like I said, 8 gallons of fluid. And it was just crazy. And what I'll do is I'll just show you a quick picture. Well, I had it, I lost it. But it was insane what I went through. And yet I survived. And now I'm back. I would say I'm 90% improved. And it's all because of what I had to be my own advocate first. And I had to be, doctor, heal thyself. And that's what I did. And it worked.
Okay. But Lasix, I don't know who I was talking to just recently, and I can't remember if somebody died from that they gave him too much Lasix too fast. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's possible. Well, here's me, and you can see my abdomen. That's off my phone, but you can see that picture, and then that's me now. but that was 8 gallons of fluid on my abdomen, and I was in rough shape. So
Yeah, that's not normal.
no.
But okay, but the thing is that I've had a lot of people recently in my life and on Facebook, they're talking about, I just got my gallbladder removed, like they were
Right.
looking forward to it because I guess it was giving them problems. But there's
Yeah.
pros and cons to that, correct?
Well, so here's one thing that the medical profession never does. They remove the gallbladder. Bile is like a very strong anti-cancer agent. You need bile to absorb your fats. You need bile to absorb vitamin A, vitamin E, K1, K2, and vitamin D, your fat-soluble vitamins. So you really need to be taking the digestive enzyme if you've had your gallbladder removed. And this is why people have problems with severe diarrhea once the gallbladder is removed. Normally, when the gallbladder's there, it squirts out bile. The liver produces bile, the gallbladder stores it. The bile will squirt out bile at the right time so you can absorb the fats that you're consuming and eating. But when you don't have that, it's just running around free form, and that's where people run into issues with diarrhea. So you need to be taking a digestive enzyme. And I don't recommend ox bile because that can be harder on your liver. That's the same as milk thistle. So I recommend a digestive enzyme. I actually formulated one. People don't have to get mine. They can get it anywhere. But you should be taking, at the very minimum, a digestive enzyme if you've had your gallbladder removed forever with every meal.
What is a digestive enzyme? Is that like a probiotic?
No, good question. Good question. There's actually pancreatic enzymes that help you digest carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. And that's what those digestive enzymes are.
Is that like if you go to Walmart, that's in the vitamin section?
Well, and I don't recommend Walmart or big box stores, but yes, you can get digestive enzymes pretty much anywhere. Most companies have them. Like I said, I formulated one because I wasn't happy with what was out there. So, I did my thing with it. But yeah, if you've had your gallbladder removed, and it is serious money. There are millions of people who have their gallbladder removed, myself included. You're going to have to take a digestive enzyme the rest of your life. Because look, if you're not absorbing vitamin A, that's going to affect your vision. That's going to affect your skin. If you're not absorbing vitamin D, that affects your immune system along with vitamin E. If you're not absorbing vitamin K1 and K2, you're going to deposit calcium in your arteries and you're going to die of a heart attack. So you're going to deposit calcium in your thyroid. You're going to have heart issues as a result of hyperthyroid. So you need to be taking a digestive enzyme. And no physician recommends that because no physician is trained in nutrition. They get an hour of nutritional training in their medical school, and then it's just all drugs and surgery. And if it doesn't fit into that drug and surgery box, they don't really know.
Yeah, but I'm talking to you now, and now I'll know forever. It's because I know a lot of people who got, that have past gallbladder removed and have little issues. Yeah. And it's like, now I'll know. It's like you need a digestive enzyme. That doesn't seem like anything that hard to remember, even as a physician.
And it's not expensive. I mean, we're talking taking one pill with each meal. I do it myself because I don't have a gallbladder. Now, I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'4", 225 pounds. So I take 2 digestive enzymes with each meal. But most people just need to take one. And I think there's like 60 in a bottle. So, I mean, it's going to last you for a while. Yeah, and medicine, like I said, they literally, people will ask them, do I need to take anything? I've had people tell me this, and they'll say, no, you don't need anything. And then the next thing you know, the patient has chronic diarrhea to the point where they can't leave their house. I've seen it happen so many times, and it's such a simple fix. So,
wow. Yeah. Okay, because I've just been seeing it, and I'm going. Somebody was in a hurry. They really wanted their gallbladder out, like that was going to alleviate. Because I've been told, I thought in the past, like you don't really need your gallbladder. It's really not that necessary.
So I always say God didn't give you any extra parts. Okay? So you need your gallbladder, and you need your appendix, you need your tonsils, you need these things. You need your spleen. I mean, it's really important. They all have important functions in the body. And yet it's medicine that just starts ripping them out. And okay, what's the solution once you remove them? I mean, if you take something out, okay, what do you do to help replace that function? That's the key.
I get it. I just heard you talk about your gallbladder, and I have a lot of people that I've see on Facebooks and this and that, and in my life personally. I said I want to question you on that.
Well, I mean that video that I made on TikTok just went viral. I mean, I've had a few videos just go viral. And that was one of them. So yeah, there's been a few. Yeah.
I learned a quick little, instead of taking pills, I was having issues with, I'd swallow the softest piece of bread. And when it was going down my throat, it felt like rocks going down my throat.
Wow.
And I was having some problems with GERD, gastro, whatever. And so, they went and I got scoped and all that. And then I don't know, they put a balloon in there or something and blew it up. But I still, and so to calm it down, you take what's it called?
That's where digestive enzymes come in. So the reason people get GERD or acid reflux is because when they eat their food, they're not digesting it. And so that you don't have enough HCl or hydrochloric acid, stomach acid. So it turns to lactic acid, and that's what reflux is. So by taking digestive enzymes, you are creating more hydrochloric acid, more stomach acid, so you can digest your food a lot easier and you won't have the acid reflux. I mean, think of a dog. A dog can eat another dog's defecation and not get sick. It's because they have so much stomach acid. Those people who have GERD or acid reflux actually need more HCl, more stomach acid, so it doesn't turn over to lactic acid when they eat food, so it doesn't reflux. And that comes with digestive enzymes. Again, just a simple fix. And yet medicine doesn't say anything because there's more money in the drug. There's more money in the purple pill,
I didn't want to take that every day or every 3 days or whatever. So I started, somebody turned me on to apple cider vinegar.
Yes, and that's a great one too. And I highly recommend it. The key with apple cider vinegar is you want to make sure the mother is in it. The gentleman who first came up with apple cider vinegar, his name was Paul Bragg. He wrote a book long time ago. I read it back in 1987, the apple cider vinegar book. It's up on Amazon, but it's a great resource. And I take apple cider vinegar. I recommend it. I think it's high in potassium. It literally helps clean your pipes. How I got turned on to it was I was drinking water in a plastic cup, 1987. It was scaling around it from hard water. I read his book, The Shocking Truth About Water. I read his book, Paul Bragg's book about apple cider vinegar. I switched to distilled water. I switched to apple cider vinegar. And you don't get minerals from your water. You get minerals from your vegetables. So I've been doing it since 1987. And I think, I had a coronary calcium score a couple of years ago. It was 0. That's a perfect score. So there's no calcium in my arteries.
But it's just amazing. In fact, I don't know whether it was you that I saw it from on your videos, or there's another guy that says at the end of his videos, he goes, and do this and your body will love you for it. And he's really popular too. And I can't remember his name right now, but it's just amazing how that simple little tablespoon at night and in the morning
and that's all it takes.
Got me off of that. I'm not taking that medicine at all.
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're naturally increases your HCl. It increases your stomach acid. And that's what you want. You want high stomach acid. That's coming back to, I don't know if you remember about 20 years ago, alkaline water was really big. Now there's water companies. You don't want your stomach to be alkaline. You want your stomach to be acidic. And so the alkaline water, it was nonsense. Water is water. It's 7.0 on the pH scale. I mean, anything more than that, you don't need it. So
I heard stories that there was hospitals in Japan that had nothing but strictly alkaline water in their systems over there, and I didn't know if it was good or bad, but it was popular. They were trying to sell the machines to everybody to have it in your house.
They were selling the machine, and I won't mention the name of it, but that was the big thing, and it was multi-level marketing, and so that made it even worse, in my opinion.
Right. Your whole, because we're running out of time, man. It's flying, and I really want to. We could take just chunks of things and spend a whole show on. There's so many things with you, but so we're just getting a little taste of everything that so many things. But you started out in chiropractic care, correct?
Right. Yes. Yep. I was a chiropractor for 39 years, and the state of Wisconsin would not allow me to do homeopathic work. So last year in 2022, I just said, look, I'm not going to renew my license. I can get this. It's called a doctor of pastoral science. So I can still call myself doctor. I've got 40 plus years of experience. If that's not good enough for people in natural healthcare, I don't know what to tell them. And so far, it really hasn't mattered because the people that I see have been to, like I said, 10, 15 different doctors, not just medical doctors, but other functional medicine docs, naturopaths, chiropractors. And we're the ones that get them better. And how we get them better is by eliminating underlying toxins and infections and supporting the mitochondria. That's really what we do.
See, but I know a lot of doctors are getting pissed off because they go, everybody starts getting on the internet and then they start coming to me and telling me what the hell I should be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
Well, there was a news story. Don't listen to doctors on TikTok. That was on our local news. I just had a lot because I get hundreds of emails in a day. I mean, hundreds. Yeah. And it's tough for me to keep up. That's why I'm up early. I get here early and I answer all my emails before I start seeing patients.
Right. But so the whole thing with chiropractic, because I'm kind of tore up, I've been a musician my whole life and tore up my neck, lower back, and this and that. Hey. Up to the past few years, I've been seeing, have you ever seen these Y strap, the neck pulls?
Yes, I've had it done to me. It's a great adjustment. Yeah.
It's amazing, but I got a lot of people that don't agree with that whole thing. But I mean, they're yanking on you, but I felt it from my neck all the way down to the base of my butt. And I knew I needed that because I felt like this.
Yeah.
But okay, I didn't know if you approved of it or not because
I've had it done, and because it's up, it's like you said, it's a Y strap because it's the Y axis. It's going straight up. You're not twisting or turning. I've always been, especially in the cervical spine or neck, I don't like the twisting and turning. I've never liked it.
That doesn't do much for me either, but I need I just felt like a bendy straw that you just need to like pull it straight up. And that's how I used to explain it, but nobody ever did that. And I had a guy finally do it to me, wrapping a towel around my neck.
Yeah.
And amen. I mean, but I just, again, some people say, no, you don't want to do that because you need to evaluate the patient. I've seen some people yank a guy halfway across the table and your spine won't disconnect.
No, I don't have any issue with it whatsoever, just because of there's no rotation involved. So,
to me, my body needs that because I am compressed.
And I mean, I've always adjusted when I was a chiropractor, but I've always been in functional medicine. And like I said, before it was functional medicine, it was nutritional therapy. But I've always had my foot on both sides of the fence, so to speak.
I've just seen people that you get a pinched nerve or something like that. I've had like things that go down my shoulder, and the minute they did that is, I'm feeling better and it's not aggravating it, but wow. Okay. Good to know, because I'm an advocate of it. I believe that's the one pull I don't mind. That's worth, to me, it just made the difference in my body, but thyroid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Millions
what's up with thyroid?
Well, here's the thing. Physicians, medical doctors don't check for an autoimmune thyroid, Hashimoto's. And I had Hashimoto's. That's why I know so much about it. I actually wrote a book. Here, I'll plug that.
What is Hashimoto's?
Thyroid disorders naturally. But so what medical doctors don't do is they don't address an autoimmune thyroid. So they never run the TPO or TGB antibodies. And that's how you tell if you're Hashimoto's. And if it's above 0, you have Hashimoto's. So you just don't have a thyroid problem. You have an autoimmune condition. So they'll actually give medication to a Hashimoto's patient, levothyroxine, Synthroid. They'll give a medication, but they won't address the autoimmune condition. So if you have an autoimmune thyroid like me, you need to be off gluten, dairy, and soy. And you can run a $500 test to prove it, or you can just stop eating it and you're going to be better, because that causes your immune system to attack your thyroid. So a lot of times, most people are taking the thyroid meds, but they still feel like crap because nobody's addressing their autoimmune condition. To clear the autoimmune condition, again, you clear underlying toxins and infections, you support the mitochondria, the patient gets better, they love you for it. And I've helped thousands of thyroid patients over the last 40 years. And it's really just that simple, but medical doctors refuse to address it. They just throw meds.
When your thyroid is going haywire, what is the effect, the after effect?
Great question. So your thyroid drives your body's metabolism. So thank you for bringing that up. It's things that are second nature to me, I have to realize aren't necessarily second nature to patients. But your thyroid drives your metabolism. It has to do with everything. Your thyroid hormones affect every cell in your body. That's how important your thyroid is. And then what will happen is Hashimoto's, if it isn't addressed, will flip over to Graves', and that's what happened with me. And then they want to take out your thyroid. And then when you don't have a thyroid, that's even tougher to work with the patient. So I tell all patients, make sure they check your TPO and TGB antibodies. Make sure that, it's just hypothyroidism. But 90% of hypothyroidism is caused by an autoimmune thyroid. So the thyroid, like I said, you aren't functioning. You aren't able to function on a daily basis without your thyroid up at its peak optimal potential. So you're going to be fatigued. Your hair is going to be falling out. You're going to have gut issues. You're going to have a host of symptoms, and it's all related and tied back to the thyroid. Even heart conditions, tachycardia, increased heart rate, irregular heart rate, AFib can be related back to thyroid.
I'm telling you, it's complicated. And if you don't know, you're relying on whoever you're going to, and you put your trust in them because that's your doctor. Right. It's like, and I don't blame some of these guys, but again, it's your life. You walk out of there, they're on to the next. They don't mean anything bad, but knowledge is power. Right. I mean, especially if you want to.
I've always said, Peter, the internet is a great equalizer when it comes to healthcare, because people now literally can do the same research as their medical doctor. If you go to pubmed.gov, that's where all the research papers are.
I think a lot of people just don't. I mean, just in this day and age of current events, I mean, people are headline readers and they go by whatever the first sentence that is told to them. And, if they saw on the news today that says that apples is going to give you congestive heart failure eating apples, they're going to, well, that's what they said. It's like, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's very, very true. One more thing I want to touch on, because to me, it hits home too. But then we're out of time. Neuropathy.
Yeah.
Neuropathy is something I've seen, and my mother had neuropathy to where she couldn't walk anymore. I had some other people that I've known, and I see it a lot. I see a lot of advertisements for, we can fix your neuropathy. Is it something that's curable?
Well, yeah. So I know neuropathy firsthand because I have peripheral neuropathy. I've always said God gives me these things, and then I have to figure out how to fix myself, and then I can help others. But that's how I got into my medical equipment business. There's a product that we use called Synexus, and a lot of doctors around the country use it. It's probably the best thing I've seen to help with neuropathy. So neuropathy is pain and numbness in your feet and hands, peripheral neuropathy. That's the easiest way to describe it. And some of it can be related to having chemotherapy. A lot of people who have cancer and have chemotherapy, they don't bother telling them you're probably going to develop neuropathy because it's killing off your nerves. So that can be corrected. Diet is really important. That's where I recommend a ketogenic diet. People could help themselves so much by just eating a low carb diet, maybe 30 to 50 grams of carbs a day or no carbs. That's really important. B vitamins, a B complex is really important, especially B1 with neuropathy. And then you have to stimulate those nerves. You have to get those nerves refiring again. And like I said, that's where it's called the Synexus Neogen system. We use it in our clinic. That's how I developed my business with the medical equipment, and I've helped other doctors do it. And that's how I've helped consult with other doctors. So there's 400 doctors that I consult with. I started consulting in 2006. And then we've added more since peripheral neuropathy came in with Synexus. So if you go to txfibro.com, that's our private doctor message board. You'll see an old picture of me because I haven't had time to change it. But yeah, that's it can be addressed. It can be addressed successfully. The pain will go away first. Those are small nerve fibers, type C nociceptive fibers, they're called. The numbness was usually the last to go. In my case, I had severe pain. It's like somebody was sticking an ice pick into my feet, especially at night. It would wake me up. I don't have the pain anymore. I have a little bit of numbness in my toes, and honestly, I can live with that. And so that's really how you help patients with neuropathy.
Is that something you have to constantly do, or for the rest of your life, or?
No, for me, it was kind of like, for lack of a better term, one and done. I mean, I went through a series of sessions, but I haven't had to go back to it. I haven't had the symptoms since. No, so.
I mean, cause I just remember, my mother saying her legs felt like logs.
Right.
You couldn't feel them. She started falling until by the time she was 90. 91 she was in. I mean, she lived to 93, so I guess I'm pretty lucky, but it was a bitch.
That's one of the criticisms of chiropractors. Is it's always been, once you go, you always have to go. And I tell patients, look, I like you, but I don't want to see you the rest of your life. I want to fix you, and then you can help me help others by telling people I fixed you. So
See, but at that time, I mean, this wasn't too long ago. It was,
Right.
you know, in the mid 2010s, 11s, 12s. But they were saying there's nothing we can do.
well,
And
medically there isn't. You're right about
well,
that. You're right. It's
again,
unfortunate, but it's true.
yeah, I mean, because when she lost her mobility, that changed the whole game, and
That
that
does.
was
That is a game changer. And the number one cause of death in the elderly are falls. And then you
yeah,
throw in neuropathy. They can't
yeah,
feel their feet. They get up at night to go to the bathroom. They take a
yeah,
fall,
yeah.
and it's not good.
Yeah. Look, well, you know what else is not good right now? I'll tell you what's not good right now because
We're out of time.
we're out of time, and this is like it's just boom, it's gone. And I'm glad we got to touch on a lot of things. I mean, but
Yes.
you're a plethora of information that I really would love to share with my audience, in more detail and bigger chunks. But I think we took a good grasp
Yes.
of what you're all about. And if people want to find you on the internet, you're again really predominant on TikTok.
Yes.
If people but
Yeah,
so if you want,
Dr. Michael L. Johnson 1 on TikTok. And I'm
that-
pretty much there just because of your experience and my experience on YouTube. Same thing, I kind of had the same thing with Facebook. And so that's why I went over to TikTok. So, yeah.
I don't think a lot of people understand TikTok though, because there's a lot of stupid stuff on there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funny stuff on
Dancing.
there,
Yes.
but there's a lot of people that know what the hell they're talking about on there and speak their minds and talk about things on there too.
Well, I was surprised that they said there's 150 million Americans on TikTok. That's almost half the country. So, I mean, that was surprising to me.
I don't know what the number is, but you find out how even our Congress, when they were grilling
Yes.
that guy, they really didn't know what they were talking about to him. They just knew that it was like TikTok bad, and so
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
but it's a plethora of it. There's a lot of good. You just have to pick and choose your
Right.
information. But I've been getting better information and better news from people who are well versed on TikTok, such as yourself, than places that are generically on the boob tube. And it's really, really sad. But I want to thank you for giving us the time. I know you're a busy guy, but I'd love to have you back a few times a year just to whatever's on the top of your mind
Yeah.
to share, because I dig what you do. And like I said, I wish I had you in my doctor visits with me, or at least with an earpiece. It's like, tell them you need to do this, because they don't mean it unintentionally, but
Right.
I just think that they unfortunately can't care for you the way they used to care for you, and it sucks.
I agree. Medicine has changed. It's corporate medicine now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it sucks. My parents' physician, I was very close with them because as you get older, they're going to the doctor all the time.
Right. Yes.
And I was 2,000 miles away, but on the phones constantly with them, and because I cared. And he retired out as a younger doctor. And he retired out and opened up a brewery because it was just too much of a pain in the ass to be a doctor.
I have friends who have gotten out of medicine just
And
because they retired early. Same thing.
It's sad. It's just very, very sad. And he was cool, and they were really good, and they knew we cared, and they cared, but his hands were getting tied, and
Right.
it just now there's programs they want to put you in, and
Right.
again, they're under the gun, and it's very sad. But I'm glad you take time out of your own life and put out all this information on TikTok. Just so everybody knows, he's got a plethora of specific videos for certain, for all these things that we've been talking about, and then some. And I didn't get to check out your YouTube too much, but you do have a good bit of stuff on there too. But the TikTok is just blown up crazily.
Right. Yeah. It's really taken off. Obviously, there was a need for it because it surprised me. And even my kids, we have 5 kids. They just laugh about it. So yeah.
Well, you're doing God's work. That's all I can tell you.
Thank you.
So Dr. Michael Johnson from Appleton, Wisconsin, Applebee's, Wisconsin. I was thinking about that today. Yeah, I've been there. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your life to come on this show and enlighten my audience. And again, I welcome you back. Well, I want to talk to you in the future. If you'll come back, I'd love to have you back and do a little more specific stuff in deeper detail, because it's endless. I mean, we're so complicated and everybody is different. So
That's right.
You need to know what we're doing. So last look at right here, Dr. Michael Johnson from Appleton, Wisconsin. If you want to find Dr. Johnson, go to drmichaeljohnson L Johnson 1 on TikTok, and he's got tons of stuff. But wave goodbye to everybody. And
Thank
again,
you.
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I do too. Thank you. You've made me. I'm better already just for again knowing you, because you're putting out some good stuff. So thank you.
Thanks.
All right, here we go. Last shot. Find them on TikTok, everybody. And if you don't use TikTok, go use it. It's not going to kill you. I promise you. They're not going to infiltrate your information. Believe me, any platform that you are on, Facebooks or any of this stuff, they know everything about you anyway. I was talking about something irrelevant, patching a hole. A friend of mine talked about patching a hole in a wall because they were moving, and I talked about it. Now I'm getting all this stuff on my phone about spackle and patches. It's like there's no privacy anymore. I mean, unless you turn everything completely off, that's the way it is. But this is damn good information, and I want you to go find Dr. Michael Johnson and pay attention to him. Go subscribe to him or whatever. He's free. He's giving you 40 years of knowledge right there. So you can't ask for much more than that. And again, life is full of choices, and if you chose to watch this show, take the time and watch this show, I appreciate it, and I think you'll get something out of this amongst the many subjects that we talk about. But last shot, Michael Johnson, Dr. Michael Johnson, Dr. Michael L. Johnson 1 on TikTok, right there. You can find him. But I'm glad he came on. This took a while. A lot of my guests, sometimes we just hover around each other, and then I've talked about it before. I've had guests that have taken me 2 years to get on the show, and finally when we get on, it's like, man, that was awesome. I wish we would done it sooner, but everything happens for a reason, and better late than never. And I hope that he will come back on periodically just to share his plethora of information and knowledge, because that's good stuff. I mean, I like life, and there's nothing worse than going through life full of aches and pains and just being sick, and you go, God, this isn't living. You want to live good. So little things, just simple little things. I'm taking this stupid little, apple cider vinegar, the mother, or, Bragg's apple cider vinegar, and it fixed my pain of me swallowing and acid reflux. It's just, simple, but who knew? Tons of stuff like that. Anyway. I want to remind everybody, next Wednesday, we're totally shifting gears again, because I tell you, I met this guy kind of in a weird way, and it's all related to what he does. But next Wednesday, June 14th, paranormal investigator Brandon Collins from Spooky Adventures 3 is going to be, he's another TikToker, but he's going to be on this show, and it's just a very strange story how we met, and we're associated with the same town that, I grew up in, and I'll tell the story then. I want you to tune in, but he likes to try to talk to spirits and find energy. He believes in energy, and that, we are alive, and even after death, and just in a, think of a TV channel. There's 3,000 channels playing all at once on your TV. But right now you're only watching this one. But if you change the channel, there's something else going on that channel. It's the same thing. At least that's the way it's explained to me, and I kind of think it's a good explanation. We just can't see it unless you change the channel. Anyway, it's all good. June 14th, next week, I want you to check out paranormal investigator Brandon Collins right here on this little old show. I want to thank everybody for watching. One last request again for the YouTube. Please, please, please just go over to YouTube and subscribe if you haven't already. It's really important to me, because I got to get my numbers up before they'll start letting me be seen more. But again, it's a catch-22. I can't be seen more because nobody's seeing me to get the numbers up. So I'm asking you, the ones who may already be watching me on LinkedIn or some other platform that we're on, you might not be on the YouTube. Just go over there and do me that favor, please. I'm really working hard for you guys, hoping I'm bringing something of worth into your home, or wherever you may be watching this from, and just do that for me so I could just start seeing if I'm going to make a difference over there. We're doing fine, but I want to keep on doing fine. I want to do finer. And again, for those of you who are on the go, sometimes you want to watch a show, but I know it's hard to be dedicated to an hour-plus show, which I am easily doing tonight. And, you got to go to work. You got to leave. But take the show on the road. Put an earbud in your ear and just Google Peter G. Show podcast. And we're on 26 different platforms and growing. And you can take the show and at least listen to the show. I try to make most of the shows to where if you're not seeing it, you can still understand what's going on. Every once in a while, it's a kind of visual moment here and there, but Most of the shows translate well even to audio without the visual. I love visual because sometimes I like to show some funny stuff, but again, you can't win them all, but majority, everything's working well. And that's it. Tune in next week. Again, thank you, Dr. Michael Johnson, for coming on the show. And as always, life is a bitch. It really is. I'm telling you, I was watching that little war that was going on Facebook, all because of something I said, and people proing and conning it really makes you think. It's like we're arguing amongst each other, and it's like it's so unnecessary, man. And life is short, but each side agrees to the core that they are correct. I don't mind being wrong, but I'm a messenger, and I bring on the professionals. And even then, there's people who are not going to agree, and you're going to butt heads. But we don't have to hate each other. We just agree to disagree. There was a time when we do that. Now it's gotten so personal. It's so friggin' personal, and it's a shame. So please be kind. Try. You don't have to be an ass. But you don't have to take shit from anybody either, too. There's a certain limit, where you go, okay, enough's enough. But just try to be kind, because life is too damn short, man. Facebook's cool about bringing back all those memories from years ago. And it's just, man, how fast time goes. So just be kind. Try. Forgive. It's not, hatred is just nasty. And unfortunately, the ones who just disagree with you, they just get nasty real quick and just tell you to screw off. And it's not your problem, it's theirs. But I love you, and I love you for watching the show. And I'm inviting you to tune in next time and check out all the shows from the past. There's tons of shows of all different, issues and things that we talk about. So I hope there's something in there to find that you're going to find interesting and informative for you, because it may make a difference in your life, something you can relate to. So my name is Peter G. As always, I love you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. I love you guys, and peace out.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorce dad, single dad, divorce dad, single dad, Peter G Show.